Hey troops, Roxy here and welcome to Roxy Plays Games and welcome back to Xplane 11, Hauler 2 and Around the World in 80 Days. So yes, we're on episode 3 and we are in Cairo still, and as you can see it's getting dark out there. So we are flying real time. Let me just quickly show you. So I do everything real time and real weather, because obviously that's what the simulation's all about, is simulation of the real world as much as we can. Right, before I get into the meat and bones of this episode, I have to do my usual, or not have to, but I would like to do my usual thank you. So thank you for everyone that has liked my previous videos. As always, it is really appreciated, and also all of my new subscribers. So thank you guys. I think I'm at about 20 now, so that's really cool. So thank you guys, really appreciated. And I also need to do an apology, because this episode was actually supposed to have been uploaded on Monday, but it's actually currently Tuesday. Unfortunately, I've had a few things going on. I've not had the opportunity to do a long recording, because obviously this flight, including the pre-parts before I actually do the flight, in total for me is around about 3 hours or so. So I just don't have the time, or didn't have the time yesterday and on Sunday either, which was my original plan, to record it on Sunday and then upload it on Monday. So apologies that this didn't get out on Monday, but here we are on Tuesday evening. It is currently 20 to 8 in the evening. So yeah, we're going to have another night flight, but the purpose of today's flight is I want to go through one last time the Air Hauler 2 and Sim Toolkit Pro. I know in the last episode I said I was going to have all of this done and I was going to do the flight, but with everything that's happened and me not being able to get the recording done, I wanted to do it during the day, so it was a daytime flight, and I could have done a few other bits and pieces. That's kind of gone out the window a little bit, so I've changed my plan. And I'm going to go through these two one last time today, so hopefully by the end of this video you will be more than happy to set up an ad hoc flight and also a plan in Sim Toolkit Pro. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is we need to do our flight plan first. So let us go into flight planning, generate a new flight, departing, so we're at HECA, Cairo, and today we are flying all the way to Bahrain, OBBI, so Bahrain International Airport. We're taking our lovely 738, and the flight number as always is Roxy with 3s, and I wanted to add in something today. So something that I haven't really talked about is weight and zero fuel weights and all those sorts of things within Sim Toolkit Pro and also within Xplane. Now what we've been doing is obviously doing the ad hoc flight. It gives us the weight. We then go into ABI tab, put that weight in there, and that's fine. But what it's not doing is it's not calculating the zero fuel weight. And basically the zero fuel weight is obviously the weight of the plane, including passengers and cargo, but without any fuel. And when we do this flight plan on here, it's not telling us, let me just make that bigger, it's not telling us what the fuel is. So if we go on to, the cargo weight. So when we go into weights, this is all blank, okay? So it's going to do a generic cargo weight, and then obviously it's going to give the generic zero fuel weight of what it would be without cargo, or with whatever cargo it does generate, if it generates anything at all. The problem with that is then when we put in the weight from Air Hauler 2 into Xplane, the zero fuel weight isn't going to be accurate. Now I'm kind of fine tuning things here. We're going a step above what we need to be doing, so you don't need to do this. But what you can do is you can go into Air Hauler 2, you can do an ad hoc flight, go all the way through to the end to find out what the weight is, and then you can come back in here, put the weight in and then do the ad hoc flight again. So just basically cancel it and then restart putting all the information in, because obviously you need to know how much fuel from this to be able to put it into that. It's a kind of chicken and the egg scenario. You need one information from one to put it in the other. But what we can do is we can just hazard a guess, and from previous flights the cargo seems to have been around about 14,500. This is in 1,000 kilograms, so we just need to put a decimal point in after the 4, so 14.500. This is guesstimated, guys. I could be way off, but it's going to be closer than the 0, which is what it has been for the last couple of flights. Okay, so we're now going to generate a plan, and I've just been talking and moved the screen. Sorry, guys. So in the cargo, I've put in 14.500, so basically 14,500 kilograms is the amount of fuel that we're guessing. It may be less, it may be more, but it's certainly not going to be 0. Okay, so what we're going to do now is generate a plan, get our sim brief, and then that's going to give us our fuel, so we can enter the fuel and also our cruise altitude into air hauler 2. So that's the 2 bits of information. So you need the weight to put in here to generate a more accurate fuel amount, and you need the fuel from here to then put into air hauler 2. So it's, yeah, like I say, it's a chicken and egg scenario, but never mind. Right, immediately I'm looking at this flight plan and I'm thinking there's a problem here that we're going to have to fix. I'm not going to do that straight away. I'll do that in a short while, because for now we just want to get the air hauler 2 up and running. So we're going to click on fly now. We're going to come back to all of this and fix all of the dodgy looking waypoints. But the bits of information I'm interested in is the 3,300 or 33,000 flight level 33.0, and the block fuel. So that's the 2 bits of information I'm interested in. So let us minimize this, move it out of the way, and then we're going to come into ad hoc flights. We're in HECA. Okay. The code for Bahrain is OBBI. That's not an O, that's an I. OBBI, got the letters all jumbled up then. So yeah, we're heading to Bahrain International Airport. So let us use selected. And you should remember from last couple of videos and the tutorial on air hauler 2, you adjust these sliders to get the maximum amount of money, not the maximum amount of passengers, the maximum amount of money. So as you can see here, we start off with 54. The passengers decrease, but the money's still going up, still going up, still going up, all the way up to the top. Okay, so as with the previous 2 flights, we can actually put the money all the way to the very right, and we've got the most amount of money even though we've lost passengers. I really wish I had to set this plane up to have first class and business class, because I'm sure I would have made even more money. However, I haven't. It's only set up for premium and premium, economy and economy. You can change the seat configuration, but you have to do it at one of your bases. So it'd either mean me flying back to England or buying a base, you know, where I am now, which I'm not going to bother doing. Right, departure time. The current time is 17:44. We're using the Zebo Copilot plugin, so we're not going to take long to get set up. So let's just go for a 1800 departure. We should be good for that. It only takes a few minutes to do the FMC. So, change that date back down. It's the 14th today. We want this on 00, and we're going for an 1800. So that's going to give us 15 minutes from now. We want to change this to 0 minutes, otherwise we'll end up having to depart now. We're going to leave the estimated boarding time as it is, so basically they'll start boarding as soon as we start the simulation. We're going to fly now. The fuel, the block fuel on our sim brief is 10,362, so we just need to add a small amount in, not a lot. 10,362, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. There we go. So that's close enough. Cool. Right, let's click OK and OK. We're not at gate 1, but there isn't really any gates here. This is a bit of a desolate airport. For those of you that did watch the last video, you would have seen we're kind of in the middle of the desert here. Flight level 33,000. Let's click accept route and fly. And oh look, see, I'm not too far off. I said 14,500. It was a little bit under that, but that's perfectly fine. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to move you up here. I'm going to move you to there, and then I'm going to go back to Xplane and get this all set up ready to go. If I can find my cursor. There you are. I'd lost my cursor. Cool. Right, let us get some information on the screen for you so you can see what's going on. So we'll put a little overlay map there, and we'll get the overlay browser at the top so you can see we're in pre-flight at the moment. We're going to go to weight, fuel, payload. The fuel was 362. That's that done. And the weight here, the payload, is 14231. 14321. Go. We're going to click on OK in Airhauler 2. And then we should get our little pop-up. There we go. So we've got 4 minutes of boarding left. So we're going to go onto our home screen. We're going to start flight leg. And then we'll get ready to do our welcome announcement in a few minutes. So let me just move you out of the way. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get you out of the way. We're going to actually do one final thing in here, which I haven't really talked about too much, and that's the zero fuel weight. The zero fuel weight, as I mentioned, is the weight of the plane, the cargo and the passengers, but not including the fuel. And the plane does a lot of calculations based on this number, and if this number is incorrect, the plane's going to then have the wrong information, which then could affect the handling of the plane. And I notice a difference from flying an empty plane to a full plane. I can feel the difference in the handling. So we want to get this zero fuel weight as close to what is in our sim brief. So if I just go back to sim brief quickly. So up here we've got our cost index. We'll remember that. We already know our block fuel, which is this. We've got our fuel reserves, which is 1,200, so 1.2 is our fuel reserves. So we'll be entering that in. But if we come down to this area here, the weights area, what we're looking at is the zero fuel weight, and the zero fuel weight is 62.7 or 62,700. Okay. Now, when we go back over to our plane, we can see that it's actually quite a bit lower. All right, around about, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 less. So we're just going to add in an extra bit of fuel, an extra bit of payload to get the zero fuel weight up to what sim brief is telling us. So we're just going to put in, and let's go for 19,500. Click OK, and then go back, and oh, look at that, 62.6. So we just want to add on an extra 100 kilograms. Nice and easy, 19,600. And now our zero fuel weight is 62.7. So like I said, this affects the center of gravity. It's going to affect the center of gravity percentages. When you do your FMC, it's going to give you a different trim. So when you come to take off and when you're doing your landing, the trim wheel's obviously going to be set according to these numbers. And if these numbers are incorrect, it's then going to give you an incorrect value, which is going to obviously affect how the plane handles. Breathe. Right, let us put in our information on here, and what we will do is we will do an announcement because everyone is on board.
Good morning, folks, from the flight deck. Get your captain for the ride. It looks like it should be pretty good. So we're planning on a smooth ride. Get you there as soon as we can and as safe as we can. We'll talk to you once we get airborne. Welcome aboard.
Okay, so I'm not going to be doing too much talking through this. I am going to leave the announcements to go on. I'll leave the door open, or I'll open the door if it closes, so you can hear what's going on while I'm inputting all the information. My plan, guys, is I will be doing a full cold and dark start video on one of the flights that I'm doing, and going through everything that I do and how I do it, so that you can then either copy or make your own version of it, but then essentially be able to get the plane up and in the air and going. So I do plan on doing that very soon. I'm not sure which episode it's going to be in, but it will be there. Okay, right, breathe again. Let us do our pre-flight, or the co-pilot can do the pre-flight while we're putting in the information.
Beginning pre-flight procedures. Pre-flight procedures completed.
Boarding is now complete. Flight attendants prepare the cabins. Verify arm doors, stand by for all call.
All right, we've got everyone strapped in. Give us a ring if you need anything.
Right, cruise wind. Let me just open this door so we can hear any announcements going on in the background, so it's not deadly silence. I'm just going to do my cruise wind and outside temperature at top of climb, which is on the sim brief. Again, I'm going to do a tutorial on that.
Close the main cabin door, so we need our customers seated with their seatbelts fastened, seat backs and tray tables in the full upright and locked position. Luggage under the seat in front of you completely. Laptops and DVD players should be turned off, unplugged, and under the seat in front of you at this time. Smaller devices must be unplugged. They may remain on in airplane mode and must be secured. Flight attendants, please prepare doors for departure. Cross-check. Stand by for all call.
In just a moment, we'd like to direct your attention to the video screens located throughout the aircraft for a brief but very important safety message about the safety features, please.
There are so many places to go in this world, and so many airlines that can take you there.
So we thank you.
For making the journey with us.
Thank you.
And now we'd like you to pay attention to the following safety video.
First, please fasten your seatbelt. To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal fitting into the buckle and pull on the loose end of the strap to tighten. To open, lift up on the buckle.
We recommend you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times, as turbulence can occur unexpectedly.
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Under a seat.
Smoking is not allowed at any time. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying smoke detectors in the lavatories may result in a fine.
U.S. law requires passengers to comply with all signs and crew member instructions about seatbelts and smoking.
So that you may follow along, we have provided a safety instruction card in your seat pocket.
All exits on this airplane are clearly marked. Please refer to the safety instruction card to locate your nearest exit. Keep in mind, the closest exit may be behind you. On this airplane, life rafts are located in ceiling compartments. Each cabin exit door and some exits over the wings are equipped with an evacuation slide. Some slides, except those over the wings, may also be used as rafts. begin an emergency evacuation.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
If the aircraft cabin loses pressure, the panel above your seat containing oxygen mask will open automatically.
While remaining seated with your seatbelt fastened, quickly reach for the nearest mask and pull down firmly to start the flow of oxygen.
Put the yellow cuff over your nose and mouth. Slip the elastic band over your head and tighten by pulling the strap on either side. Breathe normally.
Even though oxygen is flowing, the plastic bag may not inflate. Always put your own mask on first, and then help others near you.
A life vest is located under the seat or between seats. The safety instruction card shows the exact location.
To use the vest, open the cover by pulling the red tab.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Put the vest on over your head. Wrap the
Starting
strap around
pushback,
your waist
and you may start engines.
Pull the loose end of the strap to tighten.
Once outside, pull down on the red
Engine
tab
1
to
timing.
inflate the vest.
Start
Or
valve
blow to the
open
red
N2
tab on
rising.
the side of the vest. There is also a light that will illuminate upon contact with water. Never inflate the vest inside the airplane. If necessary, an infant life vest will be distributed by a flight attendant. The safety card shows how to use the vest.
The crew will now be coming through to do a final cabin check.
25% N2.
With more information about your flight.
Okay, I think that's the announcement, or the main part of the announcements done. So yeah, I thought I'd keep quiet.
Engine 2 timing. Start valve open N2 rising.
Just as I say that, they start talking again. Right, we do have fuel in our centre tank, so let's turn our centre fuel pumps on. It'll use the
25% N2.
It'll use the centre fuel tanks first, and then once that's empty, it will then use the left and right fuel tanks. Right, let me reset this chrono. Let me reset, please. Reset. Reset, please. Resetting. Not resetting.
Starter cut out.
Ah, there we go. Reset. Good. Right. As soon as the tug is done, we can do our before taxi procedures.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Okay.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Beginning before taxi procedures.
Get some lights on because it's pretty dark out there. That's better.
Taxi procedures complete.
So we're basically going to head almost straight on, slightly left a bit, onto this taxiway Tango, and then we're going to go all the way down to T1, take a left, and then we're taking off on runway 5 Charlie. Now the flight, this is runway 5 Charlie, and this is the first waypoint, CVO, but we're actually going to be taking off from right to left. So what we're going to do...
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the right. We'll see you next time and have a great flight.
Thank you. Because we're taking off pretty much with CVO behind us and we're going to head off down this way. Rather than turning all the way back to CVO and then taking a left, we're just going to do a right bank and head down to the second waypoint, which is Menley. So we'll do initially a heading select, and then we'll do a direct to Menley. So the runway for 5 Charlie is 45 degrees, so we want to put in 45 on here. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, 45, we've got all that set on. Flight directors, auto throttle, flight directors, we're going to be going on a heading select, and we will be doing VNAV, and then we'll hit LNAV once we get onto our second waypoint, or heading towards the second waypoint, and that should be us good to go now. We've been waved off and the tug has already disappeared. So let us follow our little chart here. The airport here, as I've already said, is very desolate. It's hard to see during the day where we're going, never mind at night. And I remember from when we came in, it's almost just desert around here, but the taxiway and the kind of the sand banking around the taxiways is very hard to distinguish between the two. So I'm going to imagine it's going to be even harder while it's nighttime. But thankfully we're not going to taxi too far. We came in on runway 5 right, so we came in this way and then taxied all the way back down here. When I was initially looking at this before I realised I wasn't going to have the chance to do the flight, the runway it was giving me was actually 23 left. But when I've done the sim brief today, it's given me 05 centre. So I'm happy with that one. Although it's going in the wrong direction, it does mean that I don't have a massive long taxi. I'd sooner have a shorter taxi and then do a go around, or not go around, but do a turn in the air than having to taxi for 10 hours, because obviously you can't really taxi that fast, can you? So yeah, we're coming down here now, so we're turning a right onto Tango. There is nothing here in this airport. It is really, really horrible. Sorry, developers, but yeah, I mean, there's no taxiway signs. Yeah, it's just really, really. There may be pay worse scenery for this, or there may even be free worse scenery for this place. I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't think I'll probably ever come here anyway, ever again, unless we're doing a multiplayer flight or there's some sort of event happening. I can't see me coming here, so I'm not overly upset about it. It just would be nice if there was at least taxi signs, you know what I mean? Come on, guys. How hard can it be? Right, so that is heading... that is taxiway Romeo. We're carrying on down here. We're going to take our next left. Oh, straighten her up. Probably want to slow down a little bit because I'm going to touch fast. Sorry guys. Whoa. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. I'm too busy looking at the chart, and I wasn't even looking at my speed, and I was going way too fast there. Right, so we're here at the runway. Probably should have stopped a little bit earlier, but again, there's nothing. There's no markers. There's no little lights telling you that the runway's here. It's just 1 minute you're on the taxiway and next minute you're on the runway without realising. Thankfully there's no planes around coming in or going out. It's pretty desolate here, so let us do our before takeoff procedures.
Beginning before takeoff procedures.
Thank you.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Before takeoff procedures completed.
Right, don't need you anymore. Don't need you anymore. Don't need you anymore.
Have a good flight.
Let's go to ground services, cabin lights. Let's go takeoff, medium. Let's get this bird in the air. So that is a big chunk of this particular video. We will be coming back when we get to the top of descent, a little bit before then, and obviously coming into land. I'm going to have it all set up ready, but I'll explain obviously what I have done. But I will be doing at some point a long flight with everything. I'll be doing the whole works so that you don't miss a single thing, and obviously you can just skip forward through the boring parts. Right, let's go Toga.
Takeoff thrust set. Airspeed alive. $80 knots. V1 rotate.
V1 rotate. Quite heavy this. Got a lot of weight on board today. So gear can come up.
Gear up.
400.
And let's go autopilot. And then we're going to be doing a right bank to kind of get us over towards the next waypoint, which you can see here is Menley. So let's do a right turn. And kind of point us in the rough direction of Menley. I'm doing all of this, I'm looking at what's going on, I'm also looking at this ticker tape here. Ready for putting flaps up, so let's go flaps 2. And flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Okay, let's go flaps up.
Flaps up.
And I'm waiting for this orange light to go out, and then I'm going to do our after takeoff procedures, which is basically turning this auto brake to off and putting the landing to off.
Gear off, auto brake off.
Okay, so that's us in the climb now, up to 10,000 once we get to 10,000. And also the standard, we can do all of various different standard settings and turning our various lights off. But other than that, that's pretty much it for our departure, other than we're now heading towards Menley, and to do a direct with this particular FMC, because it doesn't have a direct button like the 732 does. What we do is we click on the waypoint we want to go to, and then we click on the waypoint where we want to replace it with. So it could be further down that we just wanted to miss out a couple of waypoints, but we're currently heading to CVO, or the FMC wants to head to CVO, but obviously the CVO is down here, and we want to head up there, so we're going to do a direct. So we've got Menley in the scratch pad, we click on CVO. Now it's put in a provisional line down here. We then hit execute, and that magenta line's gone from there and it's now here. So that's all sorted. And then if we just zoom out a little bit, we can see we're heading direct to Menley, and then it's going to do a left, but don't forget guys, we're on a heading select still. We need to hit LNAV now, and then it'll follow the flight plan. Okay. I have a couple of occasions forgot to take it off heading select and wondering why I'm not doing any turns, and then I realised, oh right, it's because I'm on a heading. So yeah, try not to forget that guys, but other than that we're all set. 10,000 feet, we will turn our runway and fixed lights off, and we'll go position to steady, and we could probably have our wing lights on because it is night time, so let's turn the wing lights on. Could have probably turned them on in the airport. But yeah, not really much to see, but even during the day there's not much to see, so that's all fine. Looks like there's a motorway here, I'm guessing, with your generic clover leaf junctions. Right, we're at 10,000 feet. So we're going to do our 10,000 feet procedures.
Center tank fuel checked, pumps on. Beginning 10K climb procedures. 10K climb procedures completed. Caution, engine is already running.
And that's it, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the recording because there's nothing going to be happening. It's pitch black, as you can see. So rather than me sitting here now for the next 2.5 to 3 hours or whatever it's going to take, I'll just stop the recording and then I'll come back when we're at top of descent. So if I just go back over to our Sim Toolkit Pro, let me just make that bigger. We go there. Right, so you can see this is where we took off. CVO was this waypoint, so we kind of went out and then done a right bank heading to Menley rather than going back to CVO and then down. If we was taking off at the other end of the runway, we would have been going straight to CVO and then pretty much turning straight away at almost at the end of the runway. But this is fine. We haven't really added on any distance, so to speak. And the overall route.
Ladies and gentlemen, that seatbelt sign is still on. Please remain seated. When the captain does turn off the sign, feel free to stand up and stretch your legs at that time. However, we do ask while you're in your seat, please keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case we do encounter any unexpected clear or turbulence. And for everyone's safety, please make certain all your personal belongings are free and clear of the aisle. You may now use all approved personal electronic devices. We'll be serving a variety of complimentary drinks as well as select beer and wine. In addition, there are other alcoholic beverages for purchase. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy our service on tonight's flight. If there's anything we can do to make them enjoyable, please don't hesitate to call upon us. Thank you.
Oh, that looks cool, doesn't it? Right, so after my little interruption there, which I wasn't quite expecting. Yeah, so we're heading from Menley across the Suez. This is where Phileas Fogg did their next leg, but we're obviously flying across, and you can see it's quite a long one. And the plan at the moment is going to here, and then it's heading to Dasva, and then back in. We're not going to be doing that, guys, because that's going to probably add on a big chunk of time, hence why it's probably saying the length of time that it is. So we're going to get rid of this waypoint. Matter of fact, should we do that now? Let's do that now rather than me doing it at top of descent or before top of descent, so I can have this all planned, so then when I bring you back, I can bring you back very close to top of descent rather than 100 or so miles beforehand. So what we need to do is we need to go to flight planning, and we know that we wanted to get rid of Dasva. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out a little bit on here, get this all centralized. So Dasva's here, we want to get rid of that. So what we do is click on this little eyeball icon, and we're going to get rid of you, and now you can see it's coming into here. But what we want to do is we want to just double check on here, make sure there's no weirdness going on. And as you can see, we're going to be flying in on this direction, heading kind of up here, then down and down, and then along, and then back into the airport, out and back in. Well, that's kind of not what I want to do. So let's find that waypoint. So we've got Rigag, Nagat, BHR. So BHR is the one that's taken us in. So let's get rid of you, and that takes us out nicely. Now what we can do is we can see if there's a longer approach by clicking on this little icon here and then hovering over. So that one is pretty much similar, that one's the same, that one's coming out further, Daxel. That's the same and that's the same. Right, so let's click on Daxel. And now let's have a look. Oh, that looks good. We've still got this weird waypoint here, so we're going to get rid of that one. Ladner, Elio, Obsas, so that's Rigag. Let's get rid of Rigag. Now that's much smoother, isn't it? Okay, so we're kind of coming in around and then zipping in like that. That is much better. We could maybe go. We probably didn't need to have this one coming out. But it just gives us more time. The more time you have on your approach, the more time you have to correct any errors, get yourself aligned, get yourself on the glide slope, and then come in. And then especially if there's no ILS for you, then it gives you that more time That's not very good English. It gives you more time to get yourself sorted out to do a manual landing. I'm happy with this now. So what we need to do is we need to cross-reference these waypoints with what is in our FMC. So I'm going to click on OK on that, and then I'm going to go back to the flight planning, back to the map. Just double check that that's looking right on here, which it doesn't update it on this one. So we're going to go to live map. Live map, please. Thank you. See whether it sorts it out on this one. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why it doesn't sort it out on the live map beta, but it does on this map. That's why I prefer using live map, because it gives me proper waypoints showing on here. Right, so now I know what's happening here. I'm going to go back to flight planning. So I've got the waypoints at hand, and I'm going to cross-reference these last few. So from around about Tamro, I'm going to cross-reference all of these waypoints and make sure that it is similar to what is in our FMC. So let's go back to Xplane. We're currently just past 22,500 feet. So I'm going to jump on here. We've got 9 pages, so we've got a lot to go through here. But we said Tamro, GEFORCE, VTAB, Lotox. We don't have KMC on our sim brief. Botep we don't have. Radgi we don't have. So there's a lot of waypoints on here that VTAB is there to it. Sorry, I'm just having a Tamro is on there. GetUps is on there. VTAB, Lotox. Right, does it have DASVA? Yeah, so we've got DASVA. So basically from our waypoint VTAB, Lotox, sorry, it's got a few extra waypoints in the middle of them before DASVA, which we're going to be getting rid of. So we've got KMC, Botx. So let's have a look on our plan. So if you're ever confused, come to plan mode, and then you may need to play around with the zoom level to find out what's going on. But let's go previous page, previous. So we want to be around about here. So we got GetUps, VTAB. Now we want this to be going almost in a straight line. So let's go step. And zoom out a bit more. So it's got KMC, Botep, Radgad, Avrat, Silber, DASVA. So it's showing DASVA is here. Interesting. So for some reason on the SimBrief map it was showing DASVA as somewhere completely different. How weird is that? Okay, well that looks fine, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to leave you there. That's just confused me a little bit, but they never what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes they don't match up for whatever reason. I don't know why DASVA on here is where we would want it to be, but on the map it was showing almost in a completely different country. Okay, right, so we want to look from Otera and Nagto, Sigba, and then Ladna. Right, so Ladna's where we're going to be doing our turns. So got there. We got rid of Ridgad on our plan. and then we went to NIGAT. So, and then it's taken us on a vector. Basically, a vector just means you're just going to fly on that direction. You would manually then turn to come in. So we need to add in some waypoints, which I have on the Doobly Firkins. So we're going to get rid of RIDGAG, so we're following the same as the sim brief. So to get rid of RIDGAG, we need to go to the next one along, which is NAGAT, and we're going to put it in RIDGAG. And as you can see, it's provisionally put in the dotted white line, so let's click execute. So that's just going to smooth out that end. But then from NAGAT, we don't want to be doing this vector, we want to be going from NAGAT to a DAXL. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in DAX. Sorry, I didn't actually plan on doing this now, but it makes sense to do it now. So then I know how long it's going to take me. Because it doesn't matter how long it takes me now, I can start the second part of this video when we're at top of descent, rather than doing it too early or too late and panicking. Well, not panicking, but rushing it through, so I can take my time now. So if we add in this DAXL and put it where the vector is, because we don't want to be doing a vector, we want to do a turn. So that's now provisionally putting it to here. And then from DAXL we got B, not sure if that's B1 or BI or BL. Right, BHR. Next page. I think this is BHR08. Previous page. So now get to DAXL, and then DAXL is pretty much coming in. So from DAXL we want to be coming in. So we could, let's have a look. If we go to here, click on C130 right, and then click on there. What's that going to do now? That should now, from there to DAXL in. Let's execute and see what that looks like. Oh, that's done a fancy little bit of debufurking going on there. Why is that? Right, DAXL. Right, let's try typing in B. I'm not sure if it's an I or a 1. 602. Here? Oh, okay, right, so it's one of them, and we're on 2611, so it's this one here. Okay, right, so that's looking right. 5.1 nautical miles, 602, and then 601, so it was BI 601, and we're going to put that in here. That one there. So 544. Let's execute that and see what that looks like now. There we go. Ooh. Right, so we got rid of that little bit of a weirdness going on. So we're going NAGAT around. Let us zoom in. Right, we're pretty much at top of descent, which is cool. So NAGAT to DAXL. Trying to get the zoom just right there. There we go. DAXL, and then B6 or 6I20, BI602, 601. Oh, it's coming back on itself. C130. So it looks like the FMC approach is the F and the C, and these B ones is what the flight plan. So let's get rid of. We're going to do this. I may break this now. I hope I don't. To there. And let me just go down some steps here. So that's there. Right, let's execute and hope we haven't broken it. Zoom out a little bit. So it's going around, and I'm happy. Excuse me, I'm happy with that, guys. That is looking awesome. Right, so we're on in our cruise now. So let us go cruise, and we shall give it the announcement.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we've reached our cruising altitude. Looks like we are anticipating on-time arrival. You're going to have to turn off the seatbelt this time. Just remember, if you are in your seats, keep your seatbelts fastened in case we do experience any unexpected turbulence by the flight. And if there's anything we can do to make it right, to let a member of the crew know.
Awesome. Right, guys, so I just knocked my flaps up then, and I didn't mean to. Whoops. Right, so what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to end this part of the video, or stop this part of the recording for this video anyway, and I shall bring you back when we're at top of descent. Okay, guys? Speak to you in a bit. Hey guys, we are back, and we're not too far from top of descent. We're actually at 50 nautical miles. I was going to bring you back a little bit closer, but I have done a few things in flight just to kind of fine-tune what I'm doing. And what I did was, in the AVI tab, is I've gone and had a look at some bits and pieces in here. Some bits I haven't done yet, which is what I'm going to do first. So we are landing on runway 30 right. So it's an ILS Cat 2. The frequency is 110.3. So we're going to put that in now. 110.3 we've got on there, and 110.30. Oh, clear. 110.30 is going error. Wrong mode. 10.30 is going in there. Right, so we've got our ILS frequency locked in. The course is 300, so we're going to put this up to 300, and the same on this side as well, 300, done. Right, so that is our freaks, our frequency sorted out and our course sorted out. Okay, it is quite a long runway, so we're happy with that. Our QNH is 998. So let us go up to here, change the barrel, and we need to adjust this to, what was I say it was? 998. So we're changing this here to 998, and then basically when we flick off from standard, it will then, it will then put on the altimeter to 998. Right, so that's that done. What I've done is I've got different tabs open here, and I this is the way I do things, like a progression. So first thing we'll be doing is doing our Ladner 1 arrival, and words please, Ladner, Elilo, Obsas, Rigag, Nagat. We can remember those waypoints, okay? So if we go next page, so we got Ladner, Elio, Obsas. So we're coming in there, going around to Obsas. Now you remember we took out Ragat. If I was doing a VATSIM flight, or if I was obviously being a bit more professional, I wouldn't have taken that waypoint out. But we're doing a direct from Obsas to Nagat. So you can see Obsas and Nagat. So that is the arrival, and then that basically takes you down here. Then we're going to be banking around and coming in, and obviously this is the runway here. And as you can see, the frequency of, what is that saying, 111, oh that's a VOR, isn't it? Yeah, that's the VOR. 111.8 is the VOR, so if you're doing VOR frequency, you can do that as well, which we're not in this flight. The next thing we've then got is the approach. So we're coming in on this approach here. That's actually given us a course of 301. So we'll just reference that on here, and it says on here. So yeah, it's saying 300 on here. Obviously the same frequency, so we'll leave it as 300 rather than 301 that it's saying on the chart. It's only 1 degree, it's not going to make any difference. That's the VOR that we were just looking at earlier, and then if we just scroll down a little bit, we can see the altitudes that we need to be at for these different things. So if we was coming in this direction from the VOR, and then we would be doing this kind of circle around, we're actually going to be coming in from over here around and in that direction. Okay, from there, sorry about that, just zoom in a little bit. From there, once we land, we want to have a look at our taxiways. I'm not going into too much detail again. So we're coming in on runway 30 right, so this is where we're coming in, and then you can see all of the various different stands here, and for details we go to 10.9 alpha, which is this one here, and this gives us details of all of the various stands on the terminals. So we're coming in here, we're going to aim to come off alpha 4 hopefully, if not it'll be alpha 2 or alpha 3 I guess, but we're going to aim to come off alpha 4 and then head off into Q, and then one of these terminals here, T11 to T17 is where we're going to aim to park up. So that is the plan. So that'll literally be coming in here, coming off at alpha 4, so that should be plenty of distance there. We'll probably end up stopping around about here, but yeah, aim for coming off alpha 4 through what did we say, through Quebec, and then parking up here. So that is the provisional plan. We'll see how that goes once we get there. And initially, well, you can see we're here, so we're going to be coming in, and then Ladner we'll have a quick look at this as we're flying through those bits and pieces. So we've got a little while to go to Ladner, what, 20, 40, say just under 50 miles, but we are coming to top of descent. So we just hit the top of descent, and now you can see how far it is until we get to the airport. We are descending. I've set my provisional altitude to 3,000 on there, but I don't really need to do much because obviously the flight computer's doing everything for me, so that's why I like flying these planes. They're so easy compared to the 732 as an example, where you have to control your throttle and your speed bugs to get your angle and all that sort of stuff. Great flying, very, very confusing. Right, so the computer's saying that we need to put our drag on, so let's get dressed up. That's all done. I'm going to put my auto brakes to 1. That will be sufficient for this length of runway. We've got loads of fuel left, so if we need to do a go around, that is all fine. We're going to do an announcement to say that we are descending.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again from the flight deck here, we're on our descent. Seatbelt signs coming back on for our arrival. After up and down, please to return your seats, fasten your seatbelts. Still showing well ahead of schedule. Thanks again. So you have a nice week. Have you on the camera here very shortly.
And what we'll also do is put our light to landing. So I'll change it from a purple to a kind of green colour. That's cool. And what we'll do is when we get to 50 nautical miles on here, we will do our prepare for landing announcement. Let's go back to our AVI tab. get ready to follow this coming in. So like I say, these are the charts. I'm not going to go into any detail on this now. You can just kind of follow what's going on, but then over the upcoming videos I will be adding in more information on the charts, telling you how to read them, what all the bits of information on here, and they're all different, they all look different, they all are very, very confusing. However, once you kind of get a base understanding, I mean, I'm no expert on reading these charts by any means, but I just do know that, you know, reading bits of information like maximum speed 250 knots below 10,000. So I know if I'm below 10,000, I need to be below 250 knots on my speed. Simple information there. LIAN-LI is telling me I need to be going on a heading of 66 degrees. So we go over here. It says 65 degrees on there, you know, pretty close. Then we're doing a right turn at 120 degrees. We've got a holding pattern here if we need to do a hold. We would have been turning right to Rigag and then turning left to Nagat, where there's another holding pattern here. And if we look in at this holding pattern, so you would come in here, and let's say there's a load of traffic and ATC is telling you that you need to do a hold, then you would do a hold here, and you basically set that in on your FMC. Really simple to do. I'll definitely show you how to do that at some point. But you do a holding pattern here, and it tells you here maximum altitude is 13,000, and the minimum is 3,000. So fairly simple to kind of understand. You've got your different altitude, and there's another holding pattern here as well, telling you the maximum speed 210 knots in this area, and it's even giving you in writing here, telling you what to do for the routing. Rigag turn right, 300 degrees track to RAS continue. Oh, that's 12. We want this one there. Rigag turn left, 120 degrees track to Nagat. Continue on 120 degrees heading. Expect radar vectors to final. So obviously this is where you would do your manual turnings using your radar, but ATC would give you those vectors if you was on VATSIM, until the point where it'll say field in sight and then you land. So we are looking good. Let's zoom down to 40 for now. So this is going to be another fairly long video, but quite an enjoyable one today. Well, they're all enjoyable because I love flying, but quite an informative one, I guess, is a better thing to use, or better thing to say. And one final little thing I'll add into here, which again is just putting a little bit more icing on top of the cake, is being a little bit more organised, is your heading select bug. Generally what you would want to do is keep altering this to the direction that you're flying. So if for whatever reason your LNAV isn't working, your flight computer is wrong, or you happen to accidentally delete waypoints, or you do something completely messed up on here, if you've got your heading select, you can just hit the heading select button and it's going to carry on in the heading that you're on, rather than doing something crazy. So it's always handy to have this. And then obviously when you do your turns, like we're going to be doing a left turn shortly, then you would turn your heading bug on that heading. You could preempt it and do it a little bit before. So yes, what altitude are we at? 18,000, so we've got a little ways to go. We can actually see the runway in front of us. It does look like we've got some planes down there. Whoa, come back, there we go. No, it's just the one plane on the runway. Not sure what he's doing, whether he's taking off or landing. Doesn't seem to be moving, as far as I can see. So yeah, that's the runway, but obviously we are going round to the left, down the opposite end and coming back in. And if we jump over to our Sim Toolkit Pro, because this is what I've got on my other screens. Wow, my other screen. Sorry, words are failing me again. We can see our flight plan here. So we're heading to Lagna, and then once we get to Lagna, we're going to do a left to Elio, and then we're actually just turning now. So the flight computer's obviously recognised that it's a turn, and it's initiated the turn. So we're heading to LLO, and then we're going to do a right turn. Got a little bit of weather, looking at the map, that we are potentially going to head through. I can't see it in the flight sim. I'm having a quick look around, but obviously it's night time, it's hard to see what's going on with the clouds. And that I'm not sure whether that's below us or above us either. It's hard to tell. I could obviously go onto Active Sky and have a look at the various different cloud levels, but I'm not going to bother. Just take it as it is. So once we approach LLO, we're going to do a right bank and head to Obama. Oh, what my lords. I haven't been drinking while I was stopped the recording, trust me. It's just late, I'm tired. It's been a long day. And it's been a long flight. As you can see, we've been going 2 hours 20 minutes. Still got a little while to go. We're at 50 nautical miles, just as I was thinking. Let me go and have a check to see where we are. And I've been talking, and I didn't even bring you back to Xplane. There we go. Just show you how tired I'm getting. Right, so we just got less than 20 left. Right, I've just beaten myself up. We've got less than 50 nautical miles to go. I'm so sorry, I'm so tired now. So let's do our announcement. We can see on here, we're going to be doing a right bank in a second. So let's just do our prepare landing.
Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for landing.
Can't stop yawning either. Alright, let's do standard pressure. That's that done.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our gradual descent for landing, we ask you to take this opportunity to restore any cabin luggage you may have used during the flight. In just a few moments, the flight attendants will be coming through to collect all remaining service items. Please assist your flight attendants by bringing all seat backs upright, returning tray tables in their secure position, and double check the security of your seat belts. At this time, all electronic devices must be turned off and stowed. Thank you.
Cool. So we're heading to Obsas, which we can see on here. So it's kind of going here, and it's going to do a little left bank. I'm just going to mute the microphone a minute because I just need to cough.
Mic off.
Passing transition level check altimeter.
Mic on.
Right, I am back. Just went for a quick drink of water because my throat was all husky and I kept coughing, which obviously you guys don't want to hear. Right, so as you can see, we cut out this corner of Rigag. We're currently heading to a Nagat, maximum of 210 knots. So we actually need to be slowing down a bit. So I'm going to put these speed brakes back on because we are going a touch fast here, and ATC would be having a little moan at us. So speed's coming down slowly. There's the airport, guys. Just off our right wing. Let's see if I go to the airport view. I think it's this one here. Nope. This one? Nope. This one. Yeah, there we go. So this is the view from the tower. And our plane is just there. Oh, that's looking a bit funky from here, isn't it? It's because I'm so far away trying to zoom in. But it's cool. You can just about barely see it there in the distance. Loads of traffic around here. I don't know what the airport's like yet. It's very dark. But when we depart here, I will promise you we will leave in the daytime. So we can actually see what it's like, because obviously when we arrived at Cairo, it was, although it was evening time, I think, it was visible. We could see what we was doing. But obviously we left and it was night time. So we shall depart here during the day. I can see another airport in the distance there, I think. Certainly looks like it, but I could be wrong. Right, where are we? So we're heading down this way now, and then we'll be doing a right turn, and then coming down here. So let's go flaps. Oh,
beginning 10K descent procedures.
We'll do our 10K descent procedures. We completely forgot about them. It's only a few things, just putting lights on, which we should have done a little bit earlier. Let's go position, steady, and position, stroke, and steady. Words are still failing me. Alright, let's go flaps 1. Get some more speed off this bird. I've done it a little bit earlier. I should have done that around about 196 by the looks of it. But that's fine. We're still below the maximum speed for flaps 1. And if you are ever interested in what speed you can do your flaps are, it's all here. So flaps 1 250, flaps 2 250, flaps 5 250, flaps 10 210, 15 is 200, 25 is 190, 30 is 175, and 40 is 162. So that's the maximum indicated airspeeds that you can be at. And the gears as well. Maximum of 270 when you're extending them, 235 when you're retracting them, and the maximum you can have them up while they're extended is 320. But try and keep them well below that, and then you minimise the risk of damage. You can damage the flaps if you extend the flaps and you're going too fast. The flaps can stick. And there's actually 2 needles on there. It's hard to see. That's not actually one pointer. There's 2 needles, so you've got one for each flap. So sometimes you might have the pointers in 2 different positions, and that'll tell you that one of your flaps is broke. So just be aware of that. If you going too fast and you extend your flaps, or you're flying with your flaps down while going too fast, you can damage them. Right, so we got the runway, and you know something? Been talking to you and I've completely ignored my flight path and not got onto it. So what we're going to do is not panic, and we're going to do a little bit of a go around. So we're going to do a left turn, get ourselves onto this and come back in again. So let's spin this around here. We're going to go heading select, do a missed approach. There was an aeroplane there, so we wouldn't have wanted to land anyway. That's my excuse. Yes, I'm sticking with it. So a few little errors on my flight today. Let's go speed brake back off again. Yeah, a few little errors with this flight, but again, it's not a problem. We can rectify these things, and I've always been a firm believer in saying to people, if you make mistakes and you learn from the mistakes and you can rectify the mistakes, then it's going to make you better. Because if you do everything perfectly, then when you do have an issue and something goes wrong, then you're not going to know what to do to rectify that issue. Little things like this is a common thing, missing your approach. Obviously I was completely not concentrating and forgot about my localizer and my approach glide slope. Which would have locked on when we got here. So we're going to go out a little bit, we're going to turn left, we're going to come back out again, turn left. So it's basically just doing a almost like a holding pattern, I guess. So let us head on a what do we want to go on here? 301. Didn't want to turn it that way. Take that off, take that back on again. I want to turn left, please. When you turn your dial, always turn it in the direction of what you want to turn. So even though it is pointing this way, because I initiated it going right to begin with, it started turning right. But quickly rectified that, just turn off heading select, turn it back on again, and then turn it in the correct direction that you wish to travel. So I'm now trying to match the direction of the runway, so we can kind of see the dotted white lines here and the dotted magenta lines is what we're on. So we're kind of running parallel now, and then we're just going to go out a good distance so that we've got enough time to turn around and get back onto the glide slope again. So I'm sure the passengers are wondering what the heck's going on, and that's why we set our initial descent altitude to 3000, because that's what we're sticking at now. Never stick it down to 0, otherwise we'd be on the ground now. And obviously pay attention to the altitude of where you're going to. If you're flying to somewhere that's high altitude, then obviously this is going to be a higher number. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out approximately horizontal with where the end of this white line is, or white dotted line, hashtags, whatever you wish to call them. We're then going to do a left bank again, and then we should pick up our localizer, and it'll all appear up here. So we can see it has picked it up, but obviously we haven't locked on to the glide slope path. So we can see we need to be at 300 degrees, which we have set up here. So the chart is slightly wrong, saying 301 on there, so maybe this is outdated. September 18, yeah. Well, frequencies, not frequencies, sorry, magnetic bearings do change over time. That's something I learned when I was doing my navigational training and when I was teaching people navigation back in the day. Due to the rotation of the Earth, the magnetic variation, which you get on the bottom of maps. So there's a calculation that you can do with the magnetic variation and the date and your compass bearing to give you the correct bearing that you're on. So obviously this bearing that's here has changed since this map, and this may have been done on before this map was even published. This may have rolled over from an older map, but obviously as the years go on and the Earth rotation is changing slightly, the magnetic variation is going to keep changing, and these bearings will change. But obviously everything in the sat nav is going to be up to date. Alright, we're still on flaps 1, so we'll just leave it on that. We're approaching the end of here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go off on a 45 degree angle and then a 90 degree angle. So I'm kind of doing a point like that. So 45 degrees left and then 90 left. So we'll do that around about now. That's kind of a good time, I guess. And this is something that you'd need to know how to do. So then if you ever do decide to fly on VATSIM, which I'm going to progress to, I've got a kind of a plan in my head of how I want to get to that point. You need they may tell you to fly to a certain altitude or fly on a certain heading, so you need to know how to do this. So the progression that we're going to do is as part of this kind of training program, if you want to call it that, is we're going to do the in-game ATC, where they will tell you different headings and different altitudes until the point where they say you're on your own now, so to speak. We will be doing that. I will do a full flight, probably, well, hopefully on one of the shorter legs that we're doing. But yeah, I'll go through ATC and how that works, and that kind of, it's like a preparation, I guess, for going on to VATSIM. Right, so if we just quickly go back over to our flight plan, so you can see here we've kind of got to here, realised I was too high because I wasn't paying attention because I'm a Mong. So we've done a left turn, now we've done a 45 degree turn. We're going to do a 90 degree turn in a second, and then we're going to head in and come back in on there. So I'm going to do a 90 degree turn now, roughly. Bring us around and around, and you can see the plane's turning. Right, let's go back over to Xplane and get this right this time, shall we? Right, so speed brake is armed. We can now see we've got the magenta triangles. So this is our VOR lock, and this is our glide slope. So the glide slope is up and down, and the VOR lock is left and right. So we want this triangle in the middle. So that means that we are on the center path, and we want this one as it's slowly coming down. So at the moment we're below the glide slope, and as this comes down, we want to activate the approach or lock onto the approach here, but if it drops below like it was before, that means we're above it. So we're below it there, and if it's here, we are above where we want to be, basically. Right, so we are now going to do our next left bank, and you can see that magenta diamond is coming here, so we're going to do VOR lock and let the flight computer lock us onto this, and then as this activates and starts moving down, which will be around about here, we will then activate our approach. Right, so we need to start getting some speed down, so let's go flaps 5.
Flaps 5.
So this should be waking up very soon. Kind of look at the two of these at the same time. So there it goes, lights up. That's our nose kind of getting into that point there. So we're going to hit the approach, and then what will happen? He told us localizer is captured, and once this gets to here, then it's going to start bringing our nose down. So now that we've got that locked on, we're going to go flaps 15 and gear down.
Gear down, flaps 15.
Okay, so as with my last flights, I've got hands ready to take over just in case something goes wrong, like it did in my last flight where it didn't lock on for the ILS for some reason. We don't seem to have that problem here. Everything seems to be looking good. Speed is still a little bit high, so we need to do our V reference, which I didn't do. We can do that now, so we need to be at 148. So let's go down to 148 and flaps 30. So speed is going to drop down to 148, sorry, and we're on flaps 30. So that's all good. Yeah, you want to probably do this a little bit earlier. I mean, we caught it in time, that's fine, but this is telling us for our current weight what speed that we need to be flying at for the relevant flaps. If it was a short runway, we would go flaps 40. You could potentially land at flaps 15, but that's quite a high speed in my opinion. I wouldn't want to land at that speed. Even 148 is a little bit fast in my opinion, but I'm guessing that's down to our gross weight, which is obviously the plane, the current fuel, and also our cargo and passengers. But everything now is looking good. A quick look-see outside. See, this scares me a little bit when I look in this view and it looks like right there the plane is nowhere near looking like it's going to land. Don't pay attention to it. Okay, now like I said in the last video, sometimes ILSs at airports, they just might not work. For whatever reason, I can't tell you why. It's a simulation at the end of the day. So please be aware, don't expect everything to work spot on every single time. I've hit the second command button. I'm looking at this, we've got a 10 knot headwind, so that's good. So we have picked the right runway for the current wind conditions.
1,000.
And we're at 1,000. We've got our speed brakes at 1, gears are down, flaps are at 30, speed is at 148. Everything's all checked. Speed brake, speed, gears, flaps. I always do kind of 2 or 3 checks to make sure everything is right. I've got hands on my joystick, hands on my throttle quadrant, ready to hit my reversers and brakes.
300.
Minimums.
200. 100.
100.
50.
50. 40. 30. 20.
10.
10.
Speed brake up.
Great landing. So speed brakes are up, all the brakes are landing. Let's go to our taxi. We want to be coming off on 4A, which is coming up around about here. Right, we're going to miss that one, we're going in a little bit too fast. So we'll come off at the next one. Alpha 3.
Beginning cleanup procedures.
At that time, please check around your seating area for all your personal belongings you brought on board.
Oh, missing that. What the heck?
Flights low captured.
That scared the hell out of me.
Hope you had a pleasant experience. We look forward to serving you again. Thank you, and have a pleasant
Right, let's
afternoon.
come off on A2. Mistakes was made. What was my mistake? I actually forgot to hit my reversers, so I was coming in way too fast. Way too fast. And also what I forgot is I had changed my hotkeys for my brakes.
You started.
Because I've been on VATSIM, I have changed my hotkey for my push to torque on VATSIM, which was my brake switch, and obviously it was. Well, I was wondering why I wasn't stopping in time, but it doesn't matter. We're at A2. We've done our cleanup procedures, so now we have our runway lights on and taxi lights on. So we're just going to taxi back down here to the terminal. So yeah, a little bit of a fluffy taxiing coming in here, but like I said, I am no professional. Never for once pretended that I am, but we got here safely. It's a safe landing. We just kind of overrun it a little bit. There was a random aeroplane taking off. May I add, it was taking off on the wrong runway for the wind conditions, so that's just traffic global being traffic global, I guess. I am very interested in, and I'm sure there's a lot of hype going around in the community and everywhere else with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and how good or bad it's going to be. I'm very interested in to see how the AI will act in the game and whether it's going to be more realistic than it is in Xplane. As an example, if you was landing, would the ATC have any intelligence? I'm hitting the wrong brake button again because I keep forgetting I've changed it. Will the ATC have any intelligence to go, there's a plane coming in to land, the flight plan has been done to land at this airport, so we need to make sure that no planes go on the runway. I don't know if that's something that's even possible to do. Right, so we've got our terminal in front of us. Let's have a look to see if there's any spots available. Doesn't look like there is. So that's a little bit of a thing. Okay. Not a problem, we'll just keep going down a little bit further. Find a spot to park up. Now, I will say to you, you can be unrealistic as you can with any simulator and just drive into anywhere you want and park up. I'm not going to do that. Wow, this is busy, isn't it? Compared to the last airport that we was at that had nothing. This one is jam-packed with planes and all sorts of things going on. Right, so we are going way past where we wanted to go, so we're going to go to the eastern apron. Around here. And looks like we can find a spot right by here. Brakes again, I'm hitting the wrong button. I changed it literally yesterday, my brake switch on my joystick, and I keep pressing the wrong one. Right, let's park ourselves up and we shall do our shutdown procedures.
Beginning shutdown procedures. Shutdown procedures completed.
Okay, so Air Hauler 2 is telling us the passengers are disembarking, close Xplane and Alt Tab back to Air Hauler 2 to complete flight. I can tell you, you do not need to close Xplane down anymore. It used to be a thing where if you didn't close it down, sometimes it would bug out. They've fixed that now, but they still have this pop-up, as they do still recommend you close it down, but it's not a requirement. So I am going to close down Air Hauler 2, well, not close down, but end Air Hauler 2. So let's go back over to that screen. Here we go. Passenger flight income 150,000, passenger satisfaction 100%. Brilliant, so we were spot on there. So let's click on OK. Passengers are disembarked, please close Xplane and return to Air Hauler 2. Well, we're in Air Hauler 2 and we don't need to close Xplane down. And here we are in sunny Bahrain. Well, not sunny at the moment, but it will be tomorrow when we wake up. Let's finish flight monitoring. Do not hit the quit button, which I have done once before and cried like a little baby. So here is our analysis of our flight and landing and bits and pieces. I'll leave that on the screen for you to have a quick look. Pause it if you wish and have a read. Landing performance, smooth baby, smooth. Flight time of 2 hours and 43 minutes. And we are now at OBBI, Bahrain International, Manama. Okay, finish flight monitoring. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of that flight. Sim Toolkit Pro. Final thing to do in here, so we can see the flight that we've done. Nice long journey from Egypt to Bahrain, and our next journey we will be heading further east. You'll find that out in the next episode. So on closing, we're going to do flight summary, complete flight. I'm looking at my AVI tab, fuel and weights, and we have 2,501 kilograms of fuel remaining in the tank. So we've used a little under 8,000 kilograms of fuel for this flight. Brilliant. You can put notes in there and basically you can then have a look at these notes once you've finished it, but you can see all the flights I've done here. I've done 60 flights recorded on here, 121.3 hours and a total of 38,741 nautical miles, and you can see all the different legs here in these blue lines that I have done. So we've done some over in the Philippines. We are obviously here right now, so you can see where we've gone. I've done a lot of stuff around Europe and up here, and a little bit out in America, not too much. But that's all that I've recorded on here. Obviously I've done a lot more flights than that. Anyway guys, that's the end of this episode. Another long one. Been really enjoyable. I've actually enjoyed this flight. I'm interested to see what this airport looks like during the day, so we will definitely be doing a day flight out of here, and I will most probably, because it is currently Tuesday, this was supposed to have been uploaded on Monday, it is currently Tuesday evening. By the time this actually gets uploaded onto YouTube, it may even be Wednesday morning. I'm most likely going to record the next leg, which should be Saturday the 18th. I believe Saturday's the 18th. Let me have a quick look at my calendar. Yes, Saturday the 18th. I'm going to probably record that on Thursday or Friday. But anyway, thanks again guys for watching. Stay safe and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.